it is important to tell our own stories because the narratives that come out of Africa are told by people who do not know Africa. So as African storytellers, we need to hijack back and tell our own stories.
I am Mandela Mwanza. I am Malawi. I am a college dropout turned rap superstar, turning self-belief into an all-conquering weapon that will bring my country and I to the threshold of my wildest dreams.
I think I'm a change maker because I impact lives and I work towards making the world a better place than I made it.
I am very glad to participate to this yearly program because at the first time we teach how what is human-centered design is that if you have idea and technology, you have to be sure that this idea is really respond to human needs.
I do believe that we're in a very sweet spot of using technology to solve our local problems as opposed to what used to be in the past years. So it's like the right time right now is to actually take advantage of these resources, and then instead of waiting for other people to give us the solutions, we can actually use what resources that we have and solve our own local problems.
It's not important for us to look at the positions that bring us to the front pages, but if we look at it in a way that it doesn't matter whether anybody sees you or not, but that you take up the responsibility even without recognition and lead from within your communities, in your homes, in your villages, generally, we'll find that it does not have to be about elected positions. It's just about initiative, responsibility, and the love that we have for our neighbors that will enable us be leaders.
You need to respect the Constitution because it is the will of the people. So if you are a leader, you are not the top leader, you are a servant. Let's strengthen democratic institutions where everyone is free to air their views, respecting other people as well.
In Liberia, and I think in fact they should be all over Africa, a leader should be someone who is willing to serve and not be served. So he should be willing to make a lot of sacrifices, a lot of work, and expect the least. And unfortunately on the African continent and in Liberia, that is a sad reality.
I think one of the things that we hope through the comic book is to inspire the next generations of entrepreneurs. People who think beyond the lemonade stand, people who think out of the box, coming up with maybe the next Steve Jobs, the next Facebook creation, coming up from Africa. So we're hoping to be, through the comic book, to be instrumental in creating or grooming or molding the next young entrepreneur of Africa.
By default, everyone is an entrepreneur in Africa. Like, we all hustle, we all try to find our way around, but we never actually put those two things together where, oh, if you're an engineer, you can actually make money by creating some innovative products for your local community. Those two things are completely disconnected, and like we need to bring those together.
I think too often we are, and it's difficult and it's hard for me because I work in the Black economic empowerment space, but too often we speak about black and white. But a lot of the challenges are also about it's an economic issue. It's not necessarily that you're black or you're white, it's about whether you have the economic means, whether you're black or white. And also, I guess it's about focusing on what we're trying to achieve and that we're building a better future for everyone, not just for black people. We just want that the access to that future to be the same for everybody, or to be proportional at least. And I think that's how we need to talk about it, the fact that the future belongs to all of us, but we need to be represented proportionally when we get there.
I think we need to step out of our comfort zone as the youth of Nigeria and Africa. We are very active on social media, we have a voice, we have an opinion, but it doesn't translate into real life. We do not take a very active part in how policies are being shaped in our country. And that is what we need to do. It is good to have a voice. It is good to create noise or try to get people to to come on board and support an idea or ditch an idea or influence the policymakers, but we also need action.
This is going to be a collective effort. The governments cannot be disconnected anymore. Everybody has to be involved, whether it's the NGOs or the government organizations, the education system, the people. It needs to include and embrace whatever kind of technologies that we would like to use. It can't just be for the people in the cities anymore.
We have to lobby with the governments. We have to create space and allow girls to come into class, to come into school and to study science. Science has to be promoted, science has to be made a subject that all can take, and there shouldn't be any discrimination in as far as science and technology subject is concerned.
So many people look down upon people who are in the arts industry. And for me to be someone who's coming from the science background, being a chemist, a degree that so many people think is challenging and is the kind of degree that most women should be doing, and moving on to being in the arts field, it actually shows that all faculties or all things are very important in terms of developing our community. We don't really have to focus on science only or the commercial subjects, but we have to look at the talents that our young people have, and also make sure that we encourage them to develop those talents to make a difference in their community. Because when you look at the community, we're a cosmopolitan community, and each and everyone's skill plays a very important role in developing our community and making the world a better place.
It's absolutely important that we make sure young people do what they love so that they can discover who they want to be. I personally spend a lot of time in compounds and townships working with underprivileged kids because they're the most vulnerable. I started dancing because it was something that, gave me a sense of freedom and a sense of purpose and identity. And we find that a lot of young people in our community are missing that, and they're vulnerable to a lot of the social ills, to the point that they can't discover the type of people they want to be that will benefit the community.
I think as young Africans, we have to engage in politics or leadership, or we are, but there's different levels of leadership, specifically political, because it really affects how we operate. And the only difference is we really have to find other ways, the non-violent ways. We're not gone are the days where we're going to go on the streets and just shout, because specifically from Uganda, where I come from, this doesn't work. We know exactly where you end up. But we have to start conversations that really, by using all different kinds of avenues, specifically arts, to talk about, to engage with the politics, the politicians. And this is going to be a very slow movement, but I think it's going to be important, because we have to try to understand where they're coming from and also try to put them in our position.
I think a lot of us as performers have started to notice the importance of the message that we deliver in our content. We have the power to shape how people think, how they view themselves, how they view the world around them. And for me, harnessing that power is very important, so that we're able to not just cash in on trends, but to be able to pass the light that we're given as artists, to be able to shape a new world view for individuals and communities.
I'm a boy turned man, a rebel turned leader, the inheritor of a name so great its men mention is a war cry that strikes fear in the hearts of enemies of peace and justice. Mandela, the name of a man so much larger than life itself, no one dares consider him deceased or late.
One of the most powerful things that we're able to do is to give people a sense of responsibility by simply guiding them and giving them a sense of ownership in solving their own issues. Because I think one of the biggest falsehoods sold on the continent is that politicians and investors and donors are the ones who give solutions. And the truth of the matter is that if that was the reality, all our problems would have gone away a long time ago. But the people who are able to show us that we own our problems, and that we have to stand up and do something about them, I think they are able to influence how the outcome of the narrative develops, simply just by opening their mouths or moving their bodies or stroking a paintbrush. That's a very powerful thing in my opinion.
Slow time down to accommodate our lateness. Back from the abyss, I planned a hiatus. Stonewall pain as we came from the caves. It's ancient art forms on digital platforms. Rap songs that carry tribal drum patterns. History of the future, watch as it unravels. Black as midnight, keep it moving with the travel. My melanin resilient, wear struggle like apparel. African time, sun dials the sky, the full moon is bright. My campfire lights, stars shine in the heavens, spark up the night. Bow and arrow, sharp spear, bring on the fight. Proud warrior tradition, swing swords with might. I inherit the science from the father of my father, it's my culture. Survive centuries of vultures, couldn't silence the poets or break all the sculptures. Right? Okay.
People of every race and every walk of life, the world thanks you for sharing Nelson Mandela with us. His struggle was your struggle.
Since I got myself an email from Obama's people, it's been life after death. This is third out of sequel. Stepped out the social grave where the people usually leave you with a tombstone engraved. Nobody's gonna need you. Let me take you to a place called a decade and a half where they said I'd never make it, but I'm never going back. I drove past fast, weaving down memory lane with no traffic, solitary bars on my brain. There's no cash in the country that we caught in the flames. Then my passion on the track is like the thought of a train. Now I'm packing up the hip hop in the blood of my veins. More talk, less action, and my country's in pain. So when Obama comes calling, they hoping that one man is black and he raps and he's from Africa, man. Hip hop has now changed. You can run and tell the fellas and never forget the day that Obama found Mandela.
Perhaps Mandela was right that he inherited a proud rebelliousness, a stubborn sense of fairness from his father. And we know he shared with millions of black and colored South Africans the anger born of 1,000 slights, 1,000 indignities.
This is conscious hip-hop, for the people hip-hop, HIV hip-hop, now that's some sick hip-hop, social issues hip-hop, and the hunger hip-hop. There's so much going on, you could pick a number hip-hop. Child soldier hip-hop, I thought I told you hip-hop. Degraded women hip-hop, gotta stop hip-hop. To everyone concerned, let the girl learn hip-hop. See the flow's clean, this is global health hip-hop. You wanna start a business, this is start a business hip-hop. You wanna plan a family, this is family planning hip-hop. This is family hip-hop, all together hip-hop. Divided we a hip and hop, united we a hip hop.